Rave by Francesca Block, Part 2. "Let's go in the water," I said, and I took her hand and we ran down to the ocean. "I'm afraid," Rave said. "You? You're not afraid of anything." And I picked her up because even though I'm small, I have strong arms, and carried her in. She screamed and kicked her legs around. She had the longest legs, and her black hair was loose and brushing against my arms, and her breasts were pushing out of the cloth half shells of her bathing suit top. I felt like I was carrying a mermaid or something. She had a G-string bikini bottom, and so all of her was in my hands with no material between us. I noticed that some of the paint had peeled off her toenails, and it made me want to kiss her even more. I knew she'd go home and fix it before she went out tonight, but she let me see her toes that way. I didn't kiss her. I remembered this person kissing me, slinging their tongue around in my mouth when I was a kid, and felt the whole ocean surging up in me. I was afraid of hurting this mermaid who shouldn't have to walk around in this fucked up city at all. The rock stars knew it too, and tried to buy her sparkling green and silver things to wear and 2 high heels and put her in limos. She was so mixed up. She thought that she didn't belong in the ocean. She was scared of it. But what she should have been afraid of were all those people prowling around on land. Me too. Maybe she should have been afraid of me too. Wanting something from her as much as those guys that could at least give her clothes and hotel rooms with flower arrangements as tall as I was and champagne drinks for breakfast. As much as those people had wanted something from me when I was a cute kid. So I let go of her, and at first she looked like she was going to grab on again, but instead she started paddling a little, and pretty soon she was going for it, watching me and catching waves, body surfing, screaming the whole time, but digging it, happier than I'd ever seen her, and not afraid. She really was a mermaid. She came bursting up through the waves with sparks of light flying off of her, and her hair like shiny black seaweed, and her eyes like sunken treasure discovered at the bottom of the sea. After that, I bought us ice cream cones on the boardwalk, cherry vanilla, and we walked around eating them. Everyone stared at her like usual, but she didn't seem like she noticed. Her hair was all messed up, and all her makeup had washed off in the ocean, and she was barefoot, so I was almost as tall as her. While she stopped to get a drink of water, this Rasta guy in a wheelchair came up behind me and said, "Your girlfriend is fine, man. You watch out for her." He rolled away before I could tell him she wasn't my girlfriend and that no one could, but I had loved hearing that. I told Rave, and she didn't laugh like I thought she would. She said, "Baby, you take care of me better than anybody." And she kissed my cheek. It was weird. It was like that was enough for me, like as good as if we'd made love. I was so buzzed from the touch of her skin and the sun and water and creamy sugar and her kiss. We fell asleep on the bus ride home, leaning against each other, warm, shoulder to shoulder. That night, Rave went to a show and stood at the front of the stage wearing a tight, shiny emerald green dress. The lead singer saw her and crawled around singing to her. After the show, she slipped backstage. No one had ever stopped her. The singer signed his name on her poster and then on her arm like a tattoo. She told him it was her 15th birthday and that she only wanted one thing. He put her in his limo and fed her drinks and drugs in some hotel room. And in the morning, she got up before him, showered, dressed, woke him up, and said, "I might be a groupie, but I get straight A's," which was true about her. So he had his limo driver take her to school, where I met her in the quad. She told me she had a blasting headache, and I gave her a painkiller, and we hardly talked. Maybe the day before had been too much, because we didn't hang out as much after that. It got less and less all summer. I had this girlfriend and Rave was doing her thing. Once I asked her to the beach again. She said no. She didn't want to get burned. She dropped out of school a little while after that, and when I called her number, it had been disconnected. I'm in my 20s now, a graphic artist. My girlfriend now is a writer, and she asked me to help her come up with some ideas for short stories about teenagers, and I thought about Raven again. I didn't want to hurt my girlfriend's feelings because she is really sensitive. Everything makes her jealous, even stuff from the past. But I decided to tell her anyway because I love her so much, and sometimes it's a drag not to be able to share things from the past like that. So I told her. And at first, I could tell she was a little uncomfortable that I had, kind of worshipped this woman who was so different from her. But when I was finished, she had tears in her eyes, and she said, "That's so sad. Do you know what happened to her?" I said, "No." A few days later, she showed me the story. It freaked me out because it felt like she knew me so well, and it brought Raven back to me as if she were still climbing out of limos in short dresses and with a hangover on her way to get an A in algebra before she headed out to her next gig. The weird thing is that just after my girlfriend finished the story, I got a call from the girlfriend I got together with that summer after the day at the beach with Rave. We hadn't spoken in years. We started talking about people we'd known, and I asked about Rave, and she got really quiet. "You didn't hear?" she said. I said, "No." "It's been years now," she told me. "Raven White OD'd on heroin when she was 17. I haven't told my girlfriend about it yet. Everything makes her cry. I think about Raven and how almost nothing did, except that thing I said that day. And I wish more things had made her cry, and I wish I could have swum just once in the sea of her mermaid tears where all the rock stars should have drowned.